right?
Yeah.
And everything that I saw missed was over curls. I don't think to me, it doesn't look like it's curling quite as hard as it was at the start of the event last weekend, but it
No.
still moves plenty. And
Yeah,
if
I would
you're,
agree. It's not quite as much, but it's still going. Yeah.
yeah, and if they're expecting their takeouts to run just dead straight,
when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
All right, we're good. We're getting started here. Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Jerry.
And a very warm welcome to the Hack2House Alberta Curling Series Women's Major. We're in Beaumont, Alberta. Presented by Curling Stadium, I'm Hans Franlop. I'm joined by Rory McCusker for this match featuring Kate Cameron versus Nicky Kaufman. How you doing, Rory?
Hey, Hans, real good. A little bit of a slow start there. Sorry, folks. Sometimes the draw master and there's a little bit of miscommunication between us and the rink itself. Turns out we had some sheet mix-ups, so we set up all our broadcasting stuff for one sheet, and then it switches last minute. We have to figure that all out on the fly, but we got her going now.
Play underway here in the first.
I actually just covered a Sturmay game. Selena had some trouble with her draw weight. Looks like she's got a better beat on it already here. Looks like another interesting first end, which you always love to see. No hit and roll back, blanky stuff happening this end. Both teams have gotten right into it.
That's what we like, isn't it?
I agree. Oh, yeah. Looks like Skip's final stones. Nicky Kaufman with her final stone in the first. Got a nice little area to freeze too. Sweeping hard for curl, seems to have a big influence on the stone on this swingy Beaumont ice. Little tap. Doesn't quite get it back for third shot. Might leave a shot for two for Selena Sturmay. Geez, it'll be a pretty specific spot. They'll have to tap this back to avoid the jam on their own red stone. Or sorry, on the opponent's red stone, as well as the jam on their own yellow stone.
Yeah, and you got to navigate the front stone. So yeah, this is it's surgical. Worth a crack, though.
First end, not totally necessary to score 2 points, so at least the door is open for a single. Last rock, first end. Selena Sturmay. Good rotation on this stone. Should keep it fairly predictable and straight. Desiree going hard on the sweep. And I think it spills just enough.
Well, that's a pretty tight squeeze. But yeah, there looks like they agreed to. I guess we'll wait for them to put it up on the scoreboard, Rory, but nice shot.
Absolutely nice shot. We think it's for two. In any case, it's 1 point. In any case, Nicky Kaufman will have the hammer in the second.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Don't forget your brooms.
Yep, you got it.
Come on up. Well, what do you got? You got one, you got two, you got
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Calling all curlers, novice to pro. Ashland Curling Supply's patented rotator disc system lets you customize your slider right in the store. Velcro attachments make it easy to find the sliding platform that's right for you. Shop Ashland Curling Supplies, 700 McPhillips, online at ashland.com.
We are back in Beaumont. A little late start on this one, but we're rolling now. Got Team Sturmay, Team Kaufman. This is a B quarter. I'll have to double check that. Looks like first rock in the rings. Doubt that was intentional. Or up to, I guess it was.
Yeah,
So
that
not
little
only
gamble in the first on final shot, not so much of a gamble after all.
one of those pleasant ones where not a lot of risk. I mean, if you make the tap, you get one, and if you make the tap just right, you get two.
Exactly. The no-riskers are always beauties. We've got quality Stetson in the background too, Rory, so we're definitely in Alberta.
Yes, I believe that was the coach for Kaufman's team. He was helping hold the broom and gather rocks during the practice. It's a psychological play, I think. Just trying to fix my scoreboard. There we go. Third rock at the end is down the rings, and you know, you got your two stones kind of lined up down the center line. That's about as good as you could hope for. I have noticed, Hans, the Beaumont ice is really grabbing. I shouldn't say it's all ice. Could be rocks as well.
Yeah.
There
Big
was
late
a
movement.
there was a men's event last weekend, and the players learned right away that release needs to be sound. Have to have that good outward motion towards the broom. Moves two out of the way, and I think, Hans, she may have stayed out of the rings, so that's a really good shot if so.
Absolutely. Do a lot with that red rock.
Is that ice to hit? Maybe it is biting the rings just a little bit. 5-rock rule if that rock was out front. No way to hit that. So interesting that Nicky isn't taking a look to confirm that that thing is in the rings or not.
Well, if it wasn't, I think the opportunity's lost. You're right. There was no quick double check on that. So there must have been general consensus that that was nibbling somehow. But yeah, that looked like air. I would have had a look.
Very easily could have been our new ultra-wide lenses that have went on these overhead cameras. We noticed in previous years that we were cutting off just too much of the free guard zone. So some new lenses were outfitted on these overhead cameras. And I guess one of the sacrifices of that is it warps the view just a little bit. Sometimes the camera is looking underneath the stone, if you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The paint isn't exactly accurate to our eye up here.
The players have definitely got a better view at it. They're literally above the rock, so we trust their judgment absolutely.
Curling Stadium as the broadcaster of the Alberta Scotties for the last 2 seasons. The provincial championship. I definitely noticed that Nicky Kaufman as a skip, very aggressive with hammer, plays every end like it's like she's got to score multiple points, results in some pretty exciting ends.
Yeah, some teams will adapt that philosophy that they feel like it's got to be all-out aggression, and they'll take that risk. And I respect that. It doesn't matter if you win by 10 or you win by 3 or you lose by 10 or you lose by 3. It's W and L, and whatever you think is going to work best for your team is the way you should approach it. So if you play aggressive and you get scorched once in a while, well, that's just part of the deal.
Absolutely. These philosophies, of course, applying a little bit more to the first 4 rocks of the end or your team's front end. Decision making becomes a little more reactionary as the end goes on. So we're seeing a little bit of that here with a hit and roll call. Seems to be the obvious shot, no matter what your tactical mindset might be.
Yeah, for sure. You got a couple of front stones. Chance to use them if you can. Rattle them around a bit. They do want to hang on, and they do. Third shot, though. Get the feeling that this shot coming up is really going to dictate the rest of the end. They can sink one behind cover, front button, really change the complexion of the end.
Danielle Schmiemann, like I had said, I had just covered Team Sturmay's previous game. Danielle was just trying to dial in that release, try to make sure that rock was curling consistently every time. So playing around with that extension. It looks like she's got a pretty good balance here.
Yeah, great weight. Just needed to move maybe a quarter rock more, but that's in a not bad spot. Certainly going to force a chase here. Sometimes those little teasers where you're showing your opponent just a little bit of the stone and tempting them to play a down weight tap, they can really pay off sometimes, because the natural temptation here is to bump the weight just a fraction. All of a sudden it runs, and then you chip, and then look out.
Yeah, the cost of not making this perfectly is you're going to leave a hit and roll for the opponent, and it looks like they're not even going to quite get there. Splits it off, rolls to the wing. I think my rock count is off here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, that was. Thirds first. Coming in the. Yeah.
Interesting decision here. I was just going to say, I mean, you could go all out attack here and just bomb another one around the center guard and really crank up the heat, but a little bit more conservative play here. You just eliminate the counter and the force is on all day.
Yeah, and I mean, if you hit and roll and into the back of the forefoot there, without hammer, you've sort of accomplished your goal. You're creating a little pocket in the back of the four. You're drawing play to the middle. But they'll be satisfied just to get rid of that red stone. And now, with 3 stones remaining for Team Kaufman, it's time for this plan to come together.
Well, at this point, you're all in, really. You got 4 opponents' counters there. You've got a front stone of your own that you could run or tap, and so you're not going to hit your way out of this end.
Both teams using the intern, I've noticed. Just a testament to how much these rocks are curling here in Beaumont. That high corner guard is definitely in the way of the draw path.
You'd really have to sneak one through on the outturn side. You're right, Rory. You want to keep this one a little bit higher in the forefoot if they can. They want to get shot. Oh, that's a beauty. Lovely.
Right on time. That's what Team Kaufman needed. Aaron Flory throwing the 3rd stones for Nicky Kaufman's team.
Yep, that was a pistol. Great shot.
Like we had mentioned, with that outturn side not super available, a freeze on this stone might be a pretty effective force rock.
Yeah, it's one of these ones though that you better make it, right? If you make the freeze, great, you lock them out, and it is a force, pretty much. But gosh, if you're 4 feet light or if you're 2 feet heavy, could be disastrous. That front stone is there for Kaufman to use. So if you're going to play the freeze, you better get to nose.
Both weight and line quite important for this shot. Selena Sturmay couldn't quite dial her draw weight in the previous draw. Had a good one in the first end. Looking to capitalize here. Lock away the scoring area with her first stone here in the second end. It's a great made shot. Good answer from Team Sturmay. Not out of the woods yet, though. There's more and more showing on that intern side. The higher up that kind of freeze train will go.
Yeah, the angle was a good shot. The angles are pretty good for Kaufman here, though. If she can get to the stone that Selena just delivered. Red's going to angle back on the yellow. We've already talked about how that's going to be hard to play at through the outturn side. Front stone's there to use as well, so there are some options here.
What do you think the perfect weight to throw here would be, Hans? If you're ever going to unlock those stones, what kind of weight do you think would be?
Gosh, with 2 to come, I'll tell you, I'd be a little tempted to play the straight back on the front, to be honest. Go straight back, half on the yellow, punch red, and maybe leave 2 red behind cover. Bit risky, but then I think that's the way you might get 3. If you're going to go after the shot rock, or after the rock that Selena just delivered, I think you got to play backline. You got to gamble that, because you're going to have to unlock that red-yellow and move that yellow a little bit into the open. To do that, you're going to have to throw enough weight to move 2 rocks. So I think that's backline. You're going to have to skinny the front to make. So, precision required, whatever choice she makes. She plays down weight. That's an option too. You can leave yourself sitting 1-3 and leave that run back for your last and maybe get 3 that way. So there's nothing wrong with coming across nose with just gentle weight and leaving yourself sitting 1-3 locked on an angle.
That's what I'm seeing as well, Hans. And you can see they're taking about what looks like 5 or 6 inches less ice than their previous throw. So I bet that's what we're going to see come down the ice. On ice like this, those shots seem to be made and missed with sweeping. If you get it close, as long as you sweep that rock in the right order and encourage that curl at the end. Ooh, this is much more weight than I thought she was playing, and she's going completely off the board here.
Yes.
Playing a double and roll. Needs that roll though. I just don't see how that's going to be useful enough. I guess she's setting up for her next rock.
I was going to say that's telling us that she's thinking about run back circus shot on her last one for a bundle. I would imagine that she would have liked to roll that one across into the back 4 foot, but yeah, there's still it's still alive here for Kaufman. That front red stone, eminently runnable.
Yeah, if you follow the kind of the character in the house there, if you follow his hockey stick, if you run that red one sort of just a little bit of an angle right onto the yellow, you would think the way that those explode. Geez, Hans, would you ever get 3 yellows moving?
I think you could. I think you could. I think the way that they're staggered, that's absolutely a possibility. Certainly get 2 in motion, but yeah, I think the angles say that the back one might get some contact as well.
So, Nicky Kaufman living up to her reputation that I said that she's been building. Didn't look like there was much cooking until the last few shots, and now all of a sudden, there's definitely danger at either end. You know, Sturmay could have a good end here, and also, yeah, and out of respect to her opponent, Selena Sturmay is going to remove that red stone.
Interesting play. Tons of rotation on this one as well. Does change the angles on the catcher stone as well, so that's a little bit helpful for Selena. Still there, though, as a catcher.
Yeah, just not as direct of a jam with the
Right.
red stone in the middle. That to me, that felt like an up to kind of call.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. That's right. You know, it's a damage control. Worst case, we'll drop 2. Pretty good chance for the force. Yep, I think that's exactly right, Rory. Are they looking at the in-off for 2?
They definitely seem to be. That port, the out-turn draw port, must just simply not be there.
Yeah, I can see the risk on the out-turn draw port for sure. I'm just wondering if promoting red back, you don't have to bomb it in this situation, wouldn't be an easier shot. But the angles are definitely good. You hit half a rock, pretty decent chance you're going to score 2. But I do think this is maybe a tougher pass at trying to score 2 than other shots that she might try.
You can see on this split screen the body language of the Sturmay team. I can't tell if they're giggling just because they got respect for the attempt, or they're laughing about something else. But this did seem to come out of nowhere. The last shot for Team Kaufman. It is for 2 after things weren't really going their way earlier in the end. Comes across. Just barely doesn't get the angle. They're still going to score their 1. What a brave attempt.
It was. Always the risk of that going underneath, but got a point on the board, and it was fun to watch.
Absolutely. The Hammers will flip. It's a 2-1 lead for Sturmay with Hammer going into the 3rd.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Good look at the Beaumont Curling Club. Where we are treated to the Hack2House Alberta Curling Series Major. Our game enters the third end. Kaufman and Sturmay. Sounds like our in-house microphone just kicked up a little bit. Let us know in the chat, the Curling Zone YouTube chat, where you're watching from. It's always entertaining to see where people are tuning in from.
Absolutely, wherever you are. Glad you're with us. If you didn't like that second end, I don't know if you got a pulse or not. I mean, there was acrobatic stuff going on all over that end strategically, so hopefully we get more of the same here. It's very entertaining. High risk, high reward stuff from Nicky Kaufman in the second end. Didn't quite come off for her.
Four different matches being streamed from the Hack2House Women's Major on Curling Zone. I hope you got your multi-screen active and the options to watch curling. Never been better. And it only costs $0. $0 for curling fans to tune in to their favorite events as we follow our favorite teams all tour long.
Yeah, how good is that, really, Rory? It's just such a transformational thing to be able to just enjoy this constant stream of quality curling. It's just fantastic.
Giving some proper recognition to the great businesses and organizations that sponsor curling. You can see on the back of Paige Papley's jersey, the back 40 logo. There's companies that have sponsored curling for a long time, and it's due time that they got their exposure. And so if you want to support this work and support these events that are live broadcast, why not mention to some of these companies, hey, I discovered this business when I was watching curling. That information always comes back around, and you know, it might influence a decision for them to sponsor curling again next year. So be sure to look into those businesses and organizations that sponsor curling and make it possible for all of us to enjoy this great sport.
Yeah, very well said, Rory. You want to support the people that are supporting the sport, no doubt.
Good shot making so far this end.
Yeah, it's fantastic. A real cluster up the middle, and a couple of red Kaufman stones bombed in lovely, just totally hidden in front of the tee line. So time to pull the chute, I would say, for Sturmay.
This was the difference in the earlier game. Silvernagel's team with Jesse Hunkin, Jesse Hawhen, making a lot of runbacks, a lot of peels, And Sturmay's team just not quite able to answer. So getting these big wave shots going is going to be a big piece if they want to improve that aspect. And it looks like we have a bit of a miss. However, clearing a stone up front is not a bad thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that's a terrible result by any means. Creates a couple of options now for Sturmay. You can run your own. You can make a play directly at the red and the rings. So of those two front stones, actually, I think the higher one was probably the more annoying one for Sturmay. So had to clear something.
Yeah, can't ignore though that was a pretty significant miss inside. The intended stone to contact was the yellow, so
No doubt.
overcurls that. So a lot to clean up in the hitting game so far for Team Sturmay. Now these are harsh words for September. I will make that known.
Exactly. We all expect perfection within the first couple of weeks of actually getting straight back into competitive play, and that is difficult, but that's why they're out here doing this, right? You're seeing different ice conditions, different opponents, different strategies. You know, that's all what the early part of a season, a competitive season, is all about. Dialing it in.
And not the easiest conditions to make your hits with rocks that grab like this. Sliding straight at the broom and letting go isn't enough with rocks that are grabbing. You got to manage that bite with your release, with your slide, and on the skips end with how you're brooming your players and expecting people to throw. This ice in Beaumont, quite challenging. My two friends, Matt Ring, Sam Wills, made the final of the men's event last weekend, and they said that was the biggest difference, was the teams that were able to figure out how to throw on this ice had the most success.
Well, that's
Nice
decluttering things. Yeah, making adjustments is I wouldn't quite say a lost art in the sport, but by the time we get to provincials and nationals and internationals, the ice conditions are generally so consistent. You know, I think a lot of teams kind of lost the art of dealing with slightly different playing conditions. And then, you know, if they're at a big tournament and all of a sudden the rocks are treated mid-tournament and the rocks are moving a little bit more, making the adjustment can be a real problem if you haven't had to make adjustments through the course of your season. So I think seeing some different playing conditions is actually a really healthy thing, because if you can make the adjustment, and sometimes you're going to have to, you're going to be more successful.
I think that's a really good point. And for those in situations where you're coaching athletes, or especially junior athletes, practicing at your home club is all well and good, but like you had mentioned, Hans, like you can throw rocks over and over again at your home club. As soon as you go to a different set of conditions, that has to be a skill that you're building as well. And it's important to communicate to your young athletes, you know, not to beat yourself up too much, just get better every shot.
Yeah. Exactly. And you know, that's part of the learning experience is managing ice and rock conditions and game situation conditions. So being able to respond to something unexpected, whatever it is usually the difference maker at the top level. You know, as you get higher and higher up the competitive tree, those adjustments get finer and finer, but they're always there.
See if she can catch this red stone. It's a great cleanup.
Yes, and looks very different than it did 5 minutes ago.
So tactically, that's a big win for Team Sturmay, but just something I've noticed from playing at the competitive level, the game within the game, I guess you could say. Team Kaufman's thrown, this will be a sixth draw in a row, whereas Team Sturmay has thrown nothing but hits. So early on in the game like this, Team Kaufman kind of getting in that rhythm, it's a definite advantage. Let's say there's a draw to the 4-foot battle in the fourth end coming up here. You know, you've just got that much more experience with these rocks on these sheets, throwing draws. You don't want to be blasting all game and then find yourself in a situation where you need to pull draw weight.
No, that's a very good point, Rory. And so some teams are wired that way. Some teams are wired that, you know, if you get a small but manageable early lead like Sturmay has got, they're really content to play it pretty wide open and defensive and tight, and all about trying to control the last end and win by a single point. You know, that's a valid strategy, but it is, as you say, a bit one-dimensional. And if you find yourself having to lock one on late in the game and you haven't thrown one for the whole game, that can be tricky.
Over curl for Danielle. Pretty, I don't want to overstate the importance, but those two red rocks were grouped together in a nice way. If you're ever trying to blank this third end, not sure it's going to take a lot of work to get those red stones back grouped together again. So a bit of a missed opportunity there. No way is the Sturmay team in trouble, but it would have been really nice to just clean that house up and leave some real easy shots for your skip.
Yeah, and a chance here, and you mentioned this, Rory. You know, it's been a draw fest so far for Team Kaufman, and here's like a bonus. You don't often get a chance to throw often in a game. Usually when you're going to the wings, you're throwing a corner guard, or maybe the middle of your lineup is going around a corner guard. You know, here you're just getting a chance to throw one down a little different path, and you don't often get those chances in a game. You're either going to the lid or you're going to the wing, and so again, slight advantage for Kaufman, just a chance to learn a little bit more about a different path that could be useful a couple of ends from now. Good weight.
Yeah, it's right around where they tap the broom. No real double opportunity. It's going to have to be a hit and roll, an attempt to group these stones. Something I've noticed about Paige, the lead for Team Sturmay, so active in cleaning the paths, walking up and down with her broom, making sure there's no debris in the slide path, just staying active in that sweeper position, making sure that she's doing everything she can to make sure that her skip is going to have a comfortable shot.
Yeah, like so many things in life, the little things are the big things. And that kind of attention to detail, that's a good habit to form, and will at some point in the season pay off.
Selena Sturmay's first stone of this third end. Nice soft hit weight, trying to manage the path. And there it goes. There's the hit, there's the roll. Real nice shot.
Yeah, good execution all around. That's a weight that you can control with the brushes a little bit better. Slightly down weight. Way better chance of saving the roll. So, yeah, very well played. Well, we saw in the second end, Nicky Kaufman's not afraid to throw a hit. She went out to the wing, trying a long hit and roll to try and score two in the second end. Didn't quite come off for her, so it's not all about bombing the draws in there.
Not exactly sure where they were trying to roll this one. Wasn't paying attention to the broom taps.
They're looking for about half, but it's under curling and it's gonna spill. So she's definitely trying to hit high side roll to the wing. Just a little bit fuller, maybe a little bit heavy.
Looked like she just sort of, out of respect for the ice conditions, kind of gave that one a bit of a twist. A lot of rotation, a lot of outward motion, and like we've been saying, it's hard to manage. It's hard to get it just right.
Well, it is, and that's testament to how good the roll that Selena got on her previous hit. Just introduced that little bit of extra doubt. Reduces your target size on the rock quite a lot. You know that you can only hit a third. So pays off with an easier attempt for a blank here.
This is the last rock of the third end. Hit and roll out is the call. Nice clean throw by Selena. Will do the trick. It's a blank end here in 3. It's a 1-point lead. It's Sturmay with the hammer. Into the 4th when we return.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Calling all curlers, novice to pro. Ashland Curling Supply's patented rotator disc system lets you customize your slider right in the store. Velcro attachments make it easy to find the sliding platform that's right for you. Shop Ashland Curling Supplies, 700 McPhillips, online at ashland.com.
And we are back. Beaumont Curling Club. It is the 4th end. Don't pay attention to that scoreboard. Your operator has not updated it yet. It is the 4th end. But that is the correct score. 2-1. Sturmay over Kaufman.
I think we have to, cut the scoreboard operator a little bit of slack here, Rory. I mean, there's a lot going on here, to be fair. But yeah, a timely blank really for Sturmay there in the 3rd. Gets her back in the even ends, 1 up with the brick. So you could kind of map it out the way that you'd like the first half of the game to go. It has definitely gone the way that Selena Sturmay would like it to go.
Second stone for lead Krista Hilker. Pretty solid performance from the lead so far. The indicator of that is that we've had some guards up front and some rocks in the forefoot. And that's another really nice center guard.
Yep, on that center line, very safe place. I've mentioned it on other shows, Rory, but I'll mention it again here. The lead position in our sport, to me, in terms of shot execution and the effect that it has on your team's result for the game. To me, it's like first equal with skip position now in terms of if you're executing well there, your chances of winning go way higher.
Totally agree, and as you get higher up in the competition level, that becomes more and more true. When you're getting 2 or 3 misses an end, lead position, you can forgive some mistakes, you can come back from it. But when you're at this level where you're getting 0 to 1.5 misses per end, if you're in a situation where you're down multiple points or even up multiple points, that lead position is so crucial. That's going to determine the tone of the rest of the end. It's going to determine the difficulty of shots for the players after you. And I think it's just such a great thing. When I was growing up curling, I'm 32, so even just 15 years ago, 20 years ago, lead was almost kind of, you heard like a womp womp in your head when you were told you're playing lead. Not anymore.
Yeah,
that's absolutely true.
So much respect to the lead position. Underappreciated forever, but now it's like it's the go button for every team.
Yeah, I agreed. Totally. Really nice freeze there. That's gonna make the choice obvious for Team Sturmay. Got to get something out of the way.
Once again, Team Kaufman getting stones in very good positions early in the end.
There's a nice throw from Desiree, figuring out that in-turn.
Yeah, and sometimes it only takes one, Rory. You know, if you've been fighting something and you throw a clean one, then you're thinking, oh, that's what it feels like. So small things can actually be a little bit of an igniter for a player that maybe isn't struggling, but you know when it feels right.
For sure. Yep, always feels good to kind of get off the bad streak. Ooh, not to call anyone out, but that looked like a little bit of a softer release, an outside slide. Let's see how this curls in. See if that has an effect. Good news is it's got lots of room to go.
A great coast-to-coast brush. They knew how to hand that needed a lot of help.
Worked out.
Yes, it did.
I think I just heard through the ambient microphone, Selena thinks that you might be able, let's see if we can get an overhead.
Oh, yeah. Stagger, walk them forward, maybe?
Maybe. They seem a little too tight together.
They do.
But what else? What else can you do? Gotta bang them both.
Yeah. You really want to wedge it right in the pocket if you can, and then hope you get some action. Kind of like to hit the back rock first if you could. Hits the front stone, springs up and away.
Just fine. I think that's about as good as she could have done. I agree with you, Hans. If you got that one on the left, there's a chance that you bring things closer to the rings, but that's just a little bonus.
Yep, totally. You know, if you're happy to keep a front stone out and you've got the brick, still thinking about a multiple here, nothing wrong with leaving your stone up front. It's off the center line now.
Now this is warping really hard.
We haven't seen many down this path. In the prior end, the way that the corner guard was staggered took the play away from this path, and this time we see how much that one moves. Wow.
Got away with it. Got the friendly tick. Ended up right on the center line. And with this single peel call, Hans, I think once again we're in a bit of a scenario where Team Kaufman lobbing them in there, getting their draw weights figured out, and Team Sturmay, nothing but hits the last few shots.
Yeah, that tells us that Team Sturmay's mission in this end is simply to score, and you get a chance to multiple. That's a bonus. But you don't want to let things clutter up and then give up a steal or a multiple. Got the Sturmay stones accumulating in the house in second and third shot position, but Second shot virtually unusable. The front stone frozen almost up against it. Kaufman attempting to defend. This one's going to overcurl. Look at that. Holy smokes.
Yeah,
Snapped right out of the path.
Didn't quite learn her lesson on the first one, I guess. Maybe that's icing. Maybe that's the way she threw it. I would think it's the way she threw it, but just getting a little bit outside in on that out turn.
So the bad news for Kaufman is you've exposed the target rock. Only good news is if Sturmay does make the double and rolls underneath, yellow-red is angled straight in back at it, but definitely not what they're going for, and a great opportunity here for Sturmay to set up a multiple if she can get the target rock and kind of move away from the guards if she can.
Well, you wait all end for a little bit of a miss like that. And here's the opportunity. Danielle Schmieman's last stone to finally unlock these two in the button. She gets one. She sticks the shooter behind the guard. Got to think that's a great result for Team Sturmay.
Yep. That is a beauty. Absolutely lovely. Unlocked, as you said, Rory pushes the red clear of the back stone, so it brings that third rock into play. So yeah, terrific shot. Now a huge decision. If you chase shot, you're setting up a potential double back if you're a fraction heavy, so no really great options here. We're looking at corner freeze. Corner freeze would be brilliant if you could wedge it there, but boy, you have to throw it right on the correct pebble. Zero execution tolerance whatsoever.
With the swing we have in this ice, Hans, do you think you could get close to nose on a tap back?
Well, you know, it's interesting because we saw the hit, which would definitely not tap back weight, you know, track pretty straight, and we've seen the draws absolutely snap. So I think you could definitely get to nose and push the yellow back a couple of feet. I'm not sure you could throw back line, but you might be able to throw back 4, back 8 and get, if not to nose, 7/8, which would be pretty good.
The problem, of course, is there's only 2 stones remaining for Team Kaufman.
Exactly that. You know, you have to address that stone that was just delivered, even though it's second shot. You're not really going to try to protect the end out by guarding your shot rock. That's just way too risky. Make a half an error on a guard, and then all of a sudden you're dropping 3. So sometimes your best guard is second shot. The question is, how do you get second shot? Going to come down and have a look. I mean, the way that outturn was snapping, I know it sounds crazy, but you could almost think about going around that yellow stone on the front of the forefoot. You might be able to hide second shot back of the forefoot half covered. You're coming down that path somehow.
Just with that the Yellowstone in the back 8, the risk just multiplies, right? Because it's an extra counter if anything goes wrong.
Exactly that. You come down this path, you leave it high, you set up a double, they're lying 3, you try the corner freeze, you bump, and you're setting up a flatter double. So, you know, there's risk everywhere you look here for Nicky Kaufman. But you know, you need to get another red one in there somewhere. And the corner freeze, not such a bad call because, you know, if you can reduce the risk of that Yellowstone in the back 8 counting, you know, that's kind of a win at this point. And one way to do that is to corner freeze. That would negate that stone in the back 8. But gosh, high risk.
Skip Nicky Kaufman's first stone in a high pressure 4th end. She's going to need 2 good ones to find her way out of this.
One thing we've seen down this path is they should finish.
There it goes. My goodness. I'd almost call that an overcurl.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe a quarter rock overcurl. Perfect weight. Great shot. And importantly, I do think she has outcounted that stone at the back 8 foot. So that reduces the risk of dropping 3 massively. So all things considered, I think that's a kind of a win for Nicky Kaufman on that shot. You can see a corner of that one that she just delivered is just visible around the corner guards. So if she had to, she could make a play at it on her last, but the thing is your opponent's got the hammer. I'm imagining that Selena's just trying to keep 2 alive here somehow.
Is a roll beneficial at all here, or is just a hit and stick or even a tiny flop out gonna keep the dreams of 2 alive?
Yeah, it's I mean, if you knows you're inviting your opponent to hit and roll underneath pretty short, so a little outside flop, you lose the one at the back, that's not terrible. You could also try to roll underneath yourself and kind of gamble and go for it, but then you're leaving your opponent a pocket. We're going to know in a minute.
Selena Sturmay's first stone in the 4th end. Right out of her hand, the sweepers have been going hard. Will they hang on to a piece of the 4 foot? It's rolling, it's sitting. Just enough momentum to take it out the side. Unfortunate.
Yeah, that one rolls a rock less. It's a beauty, but it's not terrible. I mean, still warning lights flashing here for Kaufman because there are a pile of yellow stones in the rings. The danger's much reduced now, and now you can start thinking about, well, what's the best way to a force here? We're pretty sure that red stone is out counting the yellow stone in the 8, so we're saying that yellow is 1, 3, 4 right now.
I think that's true. Yeah, that not only does it appear that way to us, the players have been treating it that way the last few shots, so.
So it depends what you really want to get out of this, and chances are pretty high for a force now. You could elect to leave it high in the 8 foot and cut off the path to the 4 and make a difficult draw path for Selena for her 2 if you chose to. Aren't many ways that you can cut down the scoring area further without making the final shot for Selena easier.
The other advantage to this is she just threw this out-turn draw, so just add a bit more weight. See if you can get it buried. They had signaled with their broom, what if this ticks our top red? So I think they'll try to avoid that. Last shot without hammer. Team Kaufman trying to make a good one. Undercover. Limit the score to 1. Perhaps even steal 1 themselves. Freezing to the back one. Oh no, here it comes. Very slow handle. That rock lost its handle. Grinds to a halt.
Boy, oh boy, I'll tell you what, if that rock sits another centimeter forward, you'd be taking a long look at the red and try to score 4 and maybe end the game, but discretion the better part of valor here, and Selena knows that a 2 is a pretty good score right about now. This is no gimme though. And I talked before the shot, Rory, about the redstone kind of front 8. You know, if that rock that Nicky just delivered is 1 rock higher and 1 rock further left, you know, the path into the 4-foot would be really, really difficult for Selena. It's still pretty hard because of the way it snaps, but she does have half the 4-foot to use.
Not taking a particularly wide broom here. That looks more like the normal drop path to the button. But here it is. They'll see if the sweepers can manage it. Nice rotation, nice positive release. Keep it out as long as possible. That's the goal here for Team Sturmay. To bite the 4-foot and score 2. Line does not seem to be an issue. It's going to come down to weight. Curl has come. Can they sit it on the edge? They do. Well thrown, nice. Well managed. It is a score of 2. Team Sturmay, the blank in 3 and score in 2 will suit them well. As we enter the 4th end break. It's a 4-1 lead here in Beaumont.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardlines Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at
It is the 4th end break here in Beaumont. Looks like most of the sheets are kind of on pace. One sheet I can see has entered their 5th end, but our game just finished off. This scoreboard updated. It is a 4-1 lead. Team Sturmay.
Yeah, nice shot for the 2 on the final stone from Selena. Throwing a piece of the 4-foot. It's a shot that you throw a lot. You mentioned the pregame last stone draws, so that path to the pin is a pretty familiar one for most of the teams, but you still got to make them.
And as the teams take a little break here, we will shout out some of the sponsors that make all this coverage possible.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. when I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
And we are back. It's the 5th end of play here in Beaumont, Alberta, the Hack2House Alberta Curling Series Major. My name is Rory McCusker. I am joined by Hans Frauenlob. And we are getting going. This is the time of the game where I'd normally say, oh, well, the team down 3 is going to have to really start getting aggressive and make things happen, but it's been that way from the get-go for Team Kaufman.
That's right. The big question is, how can Nicky Kaufman possibly get more aggressive than she's been throughout the game? That's not going to help, unfortunately. The corner guard not getting into play, but yeah, Nicky has been very aggressive without last rock, and even with last rock, the 1 point that she did score in the second end was building up for a chance for a 2 or a 3, just a little off on some execution, but the potential was there, so I have no doubt that Nicky Kaufman will want lots and lots of rocks in play, and no prizes for figuring out that Selena's going to want to keep the play in the rings and declutter the front if she can.
One and 2 rocks in the top of the house. I think that is the default, you know, up without hammer. Get those rocks in a place where they can't be frozen to. Make it more difficult to tap back. Not dead on the center line, but that's okay. When you're not trying to steal, that's not as important.
Yeah, 3 up. In the words of many a curling coach that I've heard over the years, one of the great curling cliches, sometimes guards are not your friends. And when you are 3 up, guards are definitely not your friends. So keeping the play into the rings, absolutely the right play.
You know, that has been the kind of default sort of mentality, but I have noticed, like, I'll just stick to my own experience in the Saskatchewan competitive circuit. More and more teams are treating the scenario maybe not as a tie game scenario, Hans, but they're going through their regular motions. They'll put that one top 4, and then it will be a tight guard, and they will kind of, you know, I think the tolerances for misses change, but the tactics themselves are eerily similar to a closer game scenario. So I wonder what they're up to with that. I haven't quite been able to dissect it.
Yeah, you know, I suspect it's probably a couple of things. First of all, you know, confidence in your own execution. So, you know, the short run back is now much more a tactical offensive choice. And so you're less nervous about leaving short stones because you've got confidence you can run them back with accuracy or peel them if you need to. And I think the other thing too, with so many rocks in play, it's a bit like mixed doubles. And I've played a lot and I've called a lot of mixed doubles over the years. And in mixed doubles, there's no such thing as being able to protect the lead. So you basically have to stay on offense for the whole game, even if you've got, you know, a 3 or 4 point margin on the scoreboard. It's not really safe. And now with 5 rock free guards, center line guards being even more protected, teams with a lead are still thinking, yeah, we can't really bang our way to the finish line here. You still have to keep pressure on. So I suspect that might be part of the reason, Rory.
That's a good thought. Mixed doubles has definitely changed a little bit about the way people approach 4-person curling, just in how it illustrates exactly what you said. You know, it's that idea of safety. You can't dictate all your decision making, because all of a sudden, halfway through an end, hey, what the heck? I've been playing this safe and now I'm in trouble already. So it's you may as well just do what feels right in certain scenarios. I thought half the reason was that you could fit an extra beer in before you have to go back to the hotel.
Well, you wouldn't deny that that's a factor sometimes too, but yeah, it's you used to feel comfortable with a 2-point edge in this sport. You know, you used to feel like you're in control of the game and you could kind of run it out and dictate the play especially if you're 2 up with. You know, in a situation now where 3 up with, you think, okay, we're comfortable. Well, it's not so anymore. 3s come out of nowhere these days with more rocks in play. So, yeah, you have to adjust your mindset a little bit about how you play with a lead. Got to keep scoring is the bottom line.
Nice throw, nice release. Desiree Haas.
So rocks to use here for Nicky, but they're not in great places. And they're all the opponent's color.
Yeah, a lot of rocks to come in the end left, but nothing out front. So not ideal, but definitely it's not a sacrificed end yet. Still make something happen.
Yeah, when you're trailing, rocks in play are potentially usable no matter where they are. You got to do something to try and generate some offense. I know another curling coach who I respect a lot always used to say in a situation like this, if you can't think of anywhere good to throw it, just throw it in front of your opponent's rock somewhere. It doesn't matter where. And it's amazing what that can do sometimes to change the complexion of the response shot.
Well, missed it light, but, you know, looks eerily similar to where a corner guard would have been if they would have thrown it earlier. So I don't know if it's exactly a bad spot. Just running out of time a little bit, and hey, here we go. Considering not addressing that red stone at all is Team Sturmay.
Yeah, at some point you shift gears. You size things up and say how many rocks are there to come and where are the stones at right now, and you can assume a little bit more risk than you normally might. And let's face it, you got 3 in the rings, red guard short. You're not taking on a pile of risk if you decide not to just rip the red. Now discussing having the luxury of taking your own stone out and rolling. In this situation, you want to just try to remove anything that your opponent can use to hurt you. And right now that stone on the left-hand side, even though it's a Sturmay counter, represents a bit of danger for them. It's definitely more usable for Nicky than the other yellow stones. Nicky can come down to it, hit and roll behind the pocket off it. Interesting to see where they want to go with this one, Rory, as Danielle lines it up.
Yeah. Looks draw-ish, maybe tap-ish.
It does. I mean, that broom looks kind of half around the front yellow to me. There's a target line. We're going to know in a minute.
I think you are right, Hans. Take it from the overhead, see exactly where this lines up.
And just tickling the front. Still controlling that front 8, though.
Yeah, a little overlap, I think, was the call, but I'm not positive that's exactly the best, because if you make the hit and roll on the 4-foot rock, you want something, you want an option to bang to be able to eliminate. So now we'll see another tap back, it looks like. Or a soft weight hit. Sweepers are signaling up. Looking for some curl here. Don't want to leave an open hit. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah, it's a stone that can't be ignored, but 3 down. I'm not sure that was the choice that was going to generate the most chance of a 2. Good brush for Curl, still jamming though. That opens the door a little bit for Nicky Kaufman.
Yeah, not only have you failed to remove the red stone, but you've also gotten rid of your centerline control. So a bit of a double whammy there. Not that the red stone's in an amazing position, but it exists. It still exists. So bit of a miss. Now that slight overlap, that same call Sturmay made one shot earlier, gonna be the call for Team Kaufman as this end changes shape a little bit.
Yeah, the non-decision to rip the red corner guard has kind of dictated how this end is evolving now. Now all of a sudden the action's moving out to the wing, and this is a lovely shot. Second shot, but buried behind the pile. So now all of a sudden 3 is on the cards.
I think that came a little deeper than they wanted. I mean, you can, yeah, like where Sturmay's tapping her broom now. But it's making her think, and it's making her think about not hitting red. So that's got to be a victory.
Well, for sure. I mean, the stone just delivered. It's not quite unassailable, but it's really well protected, even though it's not shot. And if Selena comes down to the red stone, the back 4-foot makes a play on that. If Nicky's feeling really frisky, could even throw a second one around the pile and then gamble and wait till the last to try and set up a 3, or she could corner freeze the yellow. And so there's lots of offensive options, even if Selena makes here.
For sure. Running out of time a little bit, a hit and stick would leave 2 yellows shot rock with no obvious double. So, I mean, a pretty thin double, I guess I should say. Still need 2 good ones from Kaufman to get that multi-score.
Yeah, no doubt, but...
Oh, she got in the hack and she threw it pretty quick. Outpaced the camera guy.
Yeah, no sense mucking around if you know what you want to play. This one's
Love
going
to
to
have
spill,
this.
though.
Would have really liked to have that stick around in the 4-foot for second shot.
Yeah. Now, in this situation, Rory, and then, you know, different ways as you can go, you know, if you want to score 2, fine. Hit the shot rock, you know, spill to the 8, you know, go Ken Watson curling. I think in this situation, it does merit a bit of a gamble. You know, I would be really tempted to just follow that one down, the red one, and throw another one on top of it. Lie second and third shots covered, and then say to Selena, okay, what are you going to do? And make Selena make a good shot to eliminate a chance of the 3. So I'd be doing everything I can in this situation to try and ratchet up the pressure and accept the gamble that it's going to reduce your chance of a pair, but really increase your chance of a 3.
Totally agree for multiple reasons. One, you're playing a higher ranked opponent, and that's no rip on the Kaufman team. It's just Selena Sturmay is one of the top teams in the country. So you're in already. To score 3 here would only tie the game. So you're still without hammer in the 6th end. So I'm totally with you. And I think the biggest reason why I agree with you is, what does Selena Sturmay not want me to do right now? I can guarantee Selena Sturmay is just hoping that you hit that open one and leave her an open hit against 2.
Yes.
She really does not want you to bury another rock and keep that 3 alive. So yeah, I'm with you.
Does look like a hit, however.
Hits it, sticks it. And oh boy.
Yeah, it's a get out of jail card, unfortunately. Those are staggered almost for a natural double.
And I can tell you, nothing feels worse than making the decision, okay, let's make the safer play to guarantee our 2, and then finding a way to screw that up. It's a terrible feeling, because then you're kicking yourself even harder for not making the more aggressive play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was certainly the risk. I mean, if you accept risk, if you're playing a hit, if you're playing a hit and you're going to know you need to make a hit and roll to a position to avoid a double takeout, hitting and rolling to a spot's pretty hard too. So if you're going to play a hard shot, you might as well play a slightly harder shot and increase the chances of a 3 instead of a 2. But anyways, it's all hindsight now, and let's see if Sturmay can cash in here and make the double and really lock out the end.
Selena Sturmay, huge shot for her team to stay in control of this 3-point lead she's worked so hard to get. Lots of rotation, big sweep. This will be thick. Gets the 1, rolls over. 1, 2, and 3 shot stones for Team Sturmay. It's a big shot at a big moment.
Well, you can see the smiles from the teammates. The sweepers held that one to the maximum, even though it did hit a little thick and a little bit high. Definitely enough to push the Reds out of the rings. So any chance of a multiple well and truly gone now, unfortunately, for Nicky Kaufman. It will be hit the 4-foot against 3 just to score.
Did you notice how much rotation she threw on that hit, Hans?
Yeah, she's Selena is a high rotation release. We saw it on her draw on the previous end as well, when we thought, it's kind of tight brush line, but that high rotation on the draws gives the break late on draws and does give you a little bit more direct control. So as long as it's consistent, and Selena certainly is that.
Sweepers are right off this, but from my eye, looks to be, might be a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, this one is
Slips
going to
back
skate
1
deep.
for 2, and oh no, it will be a pickup of 3. So that's the way the cookie crumbles in the 5th end. Some solid opportunity for Team Kaufman. And we'll stick around, just see what the players want to do here. Taking a peek at the scoreboard. And looks like we're playing one more. So a big flip on the skip stones in the 5th end will give Team Sturmay a 7-1 lead here in Beaumont.
Handcrafted in Canada, Hardlines Ice Pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best broom in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
Don't forget the brooms.
You got it!
Come on up. Well, what do you got? You got 1, you got 2, you got...
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Calling all curlers, novice to pro. Ashland Curling Supply's patented rotator disc system lets you customize your slider right in the store. Velcro attachments make it easy to find the sliding platform that's right for you. Shop Ashland Curling Supplies, 700 McPhillips, online at ashland.com.
A B what? Semi or a quarter? A quarter. B quarter. Here we are in the B quarterfinal. It's Sturmay and Kaufman. Big lead for Team Sturmay after quite a quick flip of that end, Hans. We looked like we had a multi-score for Kaufman Brewing, and then all of a sudden, it's gone.
Yeah, things can change. And, you know, hindsight's always a perfect thing. And, you know, maybe you're just reflecting my own personal bias around how I might play an end. But, you know, the crucial shot choice, I think, was Nicky's second last shot, in the sense that playing a hit and knowing that you need to not only to make a hit, but you actually had to roll about 4 feet to not set up a double back. You know, hitting and rolling to a precise spot's tough at the best of times, but really tougher even when, you know, you make that or potentially game over. And I think the draw would have maybe been a better option for her, but, you know, the net result, you know, unfortunate for Nicky on her last that she was heavy with the draw, but really, I think post the game might go back to that end and that situation and that shot choice and say, well, would we, you know, what else could we have looked at?
And, you know, it's hard to blame her. You could feel the momentum shift. Like, the Kaufman team had made quite a few shots in a row, and you were starting to feel like, well, if we can just get our deuce here and then go hard for a steal in 6, we'll tie the game up. And I can understand that line of thinking, but I completely agree with you, Hans. The difficulty of what she may have interpreted as the easier shot, I don't think was too far off what would have been the higher reward shot. So as it goes, it's a steal of 3, and they'll have to put something big together here to have a sniff at getting back in this game.
Well, you mentioned Rory. I mean, it is still relatively early in the competitive season, and, you know, part of what this is about is figuring out everything, you know, strategy, game situations, ice conditions, rocks, each other. So, you know, playing 6, you know, now if you're Team Kaufman, I suspect you're looking at this 6 end and say, let's play a really good solid end here. And if we can score 3, we'll keep playing, and if we don't, then we may call it a day. But, you know, your goals change now, 6 down, and I imagine that they're saying to themselves, you know, we've shown that we can be more than competitively equal in this game. We've generated a lot of chances here. Let's play a really solid end.
Yeah, it's about momentum for the next draw as well. Team Kaufman will have to keep on playing, keep on battling to secure their spot in a qualifier.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about a triple knockout. You know, when you're in the B, you're not done. So what can you take away to your next one? Team Sturmay, you know, if I was going to summarize it, I would say, you know, they've just been pretty solid. You know, I wouldn't say spectacular, but really, really solid, and they've made, executed really well when they've needed to, whether it's a clear or whether it's a double or whether it's a hit and roll. You know, when they've had to make situations to turn ends around and make shots to turn ends around, they've done it.
Yeah, I can say from their previous draw, who were they playing? Their previous game, they had just gotten off the ice, quick break, and then came back on for this one. Big improvement in the consistency and in their just kind of faith in each other and the way that they put together ends. It's been a new Selena Sturmay team on the ice this afternoon.
Yeah, and sometimes that's what it takes. If you have a rough one, you know, sometimes it's better to just kind of catch your breath, have a cold beverage, and then get right back on the ice and do it again, as opposed to think about it for a long time and overanalyze things. Sometimes the best thing is just to get out there and play again, and that's certainly seeming to be the case in this match.
Little pile brewing in the front of the house. Obvious choice is appeal. I really like to watch these come down from this split angle. Just get to see where the broom is, where the rock is, how the thrower releases it. Straight slide with a bit of an outward release. It's exactly what you need on this kind of ice. And you'll see even with that weight, curls a good 4 inches.
Yeah, when the rocks are rough and they're really grabbing, if you've got a natural inside out, it'll be magnified even more. You just want to protect about the dreaded dump. Good clear. Team Kaufman, it's all guns blazing now. They'll just pile stuff up anywhere they can. Looking to replace that front stone. Comfort for Team Sturmay as the 2 yellows are angled on the shot rock. She doesn't have to worry about making plays on stones in the rings quite yet, knowing that later in the end she can blast and get to shot rock with a double raise without too much drama. Very tidy.
Peel replace, peel replace. There's no onus on Team Sturmay to make anything crazy happen yet. They may as well wait for Kaufman to rearrange things in the rings before making any kind of play at those stones. As it stands right now, here, I'll get us another look here. As it stands right now, no real danger.
Yeah, yellow, yellow, red is there all day for Selena to get at the shooter. We were talking a couple of ends ago, Rory, about protecting leads. Well, 6 up, very different ball game than 2 or 3 up. So Team Sturmay.
Looks like they've thrown the wrong color. No, sorry, I got confused.
Well, still happy to accumulate center guards. Yeah, Team Sturmay will happily concede 2 here. Just looking to protect against more than that. If you wanted to make a play on shot rock now, this would be a shot where you could do it. Because you can play an either or. If you come down the out-turn side, throw at the front yellow, 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 red, you eliminate the shot rock and rattle things around a little bit. And if you're a little bit narrow and you clip the front center guard, that's not a bad pro miss.
Yeah, it's just so tempting with a lead this big to sort of turn your brain off and just rip the first thing you see. It's probably what I'd be doing. But if you wanted to take this situation seriously, I think it's worth a look. Which is just what they're doing. It's almost better practice to pretend you're only ahead, 2 or 3.
Right. So it's not an automatic. If you're playing the front yellow, you do have to hit at least nose, but with that center guard now, that frames it actually, and so it's really difficult with the center guard there to get a cross face. Otherwise, you're going to wreck. So if you're going to make a run at it, you can throw heat down this path And as I said, you've got an A-B option here. Option A, hit the yellow. Yellow, yellow, red. Blast everything open. Who knows where they're going to stay. But you're eliminating shot rock. And then if it overcurls a fraction, you clip the front. No biggie.
Even if you get it thin, I bet that top red goes whipping out of the rings. Depends how hard you throw it, I
Yeah,
guess. But
stuff could be going everywhere here. Hang on.
not throwing crazy weight. Good up weight hit. Looks pretty good. Yellow, yellow, red.
Yeah, I really like that call.
Although,
the reason I like the call is 2 is definitely still on here for Nicky, but that makes chances of 3 drop massively.
yeah, you know, although 1 in the rings and 1 to come, you know, if you need a circus shot on your last one to make them count, so be it. But there might be something for more than 2 at the end of all this.
Yep, but then you're taking that shot for 3 down into the range of, 2 and 3 percenters, right? So you're going to leave something.
Yeah.
It's a question about how makeable is that something that you're leaving.
And the red stone in the rings is an open and obvious stone to hit, so.
Exactly. I was just going to say exactly that. Worst case, you just hammer the one in the 12-foot, say, okay. And that's exactly what she's looking at. Angle's pretty steep to be thinking about double here. I really wouldn't. I'd just be thinking about eliminating the stone in the 12 and rolling to a decent spot, personally. But thin double is there if she catches the top one thin. If she's in fact playing the stone in the 12-foot, we'll just make sure that that is actually the play. Well, no, looks like she's going to make a play at that stone in the 8, Rory.
Yeah, you'd hate to give Kaufman a 2-for-1 here and jam it on your own, but it's with the way they're lined up, it's just so unlikely. Really nice throw. No danger there. It's a rip, it's a roll, and it's as if the last 2 shots never even happened.
Yeah, very nicely done.
Just a little update on the other B quarter, who the winner of this game will move on to play. Sayaka Yoshimura is up 6-2 on their opponent's booth. Claire Booth from Calgary, Alberta.
Great to see so many international teams participating in the Alberta Curling Series, Rory. It's brings a dimension. All of the international teams, it seems, whether they're competing on the European circuit or in Canada, will travel to either of those places to get early season competition, and another strong contingent here this weekend.
It's great to see the teams. It's even better from my perspective on the streaming side to see the fans tune in.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Anything with a Japanese team is guaranteed to have, it's like locked in, at least a couple hundred viewers, sometimes a couple thousand.
Yeah.
And boy, are they active on the chat.
Yep. The fans, North American curling fans, I wouldn't say don't appreciate, but the following that Japanese and Korean international teams get from their supporters at home is just amazing. We're going to have a chat about this situation. Timeout called. We said at the start of the 6th, I think the end goal here for Team Kaufman was have a good end. And so a couple of rocks to come here. And You know, a good end would be a multiple, and even if you decide not to carry on playing, you can take that off the ice for your next one. So worth having a little chat here around your options. There is still the faintest glimmer of a possible 3, stronger possibility of a 2. Lots of stuff to hide behind here.
And you know what? Let's just get the coach involved. He dressed up for the occasion. Let's get him
Yeah,
out
it's
here.
worth seeing the hat, right?
Yep. Alone. Just that alone.
Now, if I'm, again, personally, if I'm trying to manufacture 3 out of this somehow, I'm thinking hard about coming half around the stone, the yellow stone in the front 8 foot, and just wedging red between the 2 yellows as an option. And that would leave Selena an easy choice. Hit back on the stone in the 12 foot. So you'd have, you're going to be hoping for a Selena miss regardless what you're choosing here if you're thinking of trying to keep 3 alive somehow. But in this situation, considering the game situation, Rory, I wouldn't be thinking 3 at all. I'd be thinking, let's get this into a good place to score 2.
Yeah, there's going to be the open one to hit no matter what, right? So you're hoping for a
Right.
flash no matter what you throw here. I mean, just the way like my video game brain is thinking, like it's. Is there any way to like tap this rock and make a possible jam on the open? Like there's just nothing really realistic. I think at this point you're trying to execute skip stones in a healthy team way that you can carry that confidence and momentum into your next game.
Completely agree. Noses eliminates.
I feel like a hit and stick basically puts a fork in it, doesn't it? There would be no
I
double on
think
the
it does.
yellows.
Yep. Yep. Not too complicated here, and that's exactly what they've arrived at, Rory. And the bonus for Selena, this is virtually the same pass she just threw down.
Selena Sturmay is the last rock in the 6th end. Really strong team performance, trying to put a cap on it here with a hit and stick. Should force Kaufman into a either very difficult shot or no real option at all. Hits it, rolls. Looks like she'll stick around. Just, oh, that little
The friendly
roll.
little wobble back, right?
Yep.
Just.
We've seen, with how these rocks have been treated the last few years, we're seeing more and more and more of that. And you've almost got to factor that in to how you approach a shot. That last rotation is going to grab and bring that rock kind of back towards its direction of momentum. It's nearly become part of the physics of curling.
Yeah. It is not over until this rock has stopped rotating, and sometimes the final rotation takes it north instead of south.
I think a really good example of that was Nicky Dean's famous spinner shot last year against Norway.
Absolutely.
It's a great physics lesson. This is the final stone of the 6th end. Team Kaufman played better than the scoreboard would indicate. There was a lot of ends where they were right there in it. I think it's just that 5th end is where we saw the difference. They'll try to make a nice draw out of the 4-foot. Feel good about their game here. And it will be a single point for Team Kaufman. Nice throw. And the gloves come off. Good sportsmanship there. And you know what, Hans? A better game than the scoreboard would indicate.
Yeah, completely agree. Selena Sturmay definitely deserving of the victory, but Nicky Kaufman and her teammates had some really good moments, and hopefully they can take those away as positives for their next one.
Hans, it was a pleasure. It's great hopping on the mic with you, and I think you and I have a few more games scheduled this weekend, so I look forward to calling another game with you later on.
Likewise, Rory. Cheers for that.
Very good. Okay, everyone else can, if you're not bored of curling yet tonight, there's still some games on the ice, and there is another evening draw to follow. I will not be here. Got to cheer on my winless in 7-week Saskatchewan Rough Riders. So we'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.